Kara, yes, I will share my thoughts on the funeral. So I remember when I watched the funeral for the first time, I was definitely scared because I read the books. And it's definitely a book scene when Belly says go to hell. Jenny definitely brings that to life in like a whole different way. And it was a lot different than I would have thought, a lot more intense. But I remember watching it and wanting to still defend Belly, even though she told him to go to hell. Probably wasn't the best place to say that. But as a 16-year-old who's also going through grief, speaking to her ex-boyfriend, who she'd probably been broken up with for about a month, seeing him with another girl, there was probably like a bunch of different things kind of going through her head. It was a really bad environment to kind of like have a discussion about everything with Conrad. And it's not like Conrad was going to go out and just say, oh yeah, I have panic attacks too. Like I was having a panic attack. She was going to tell me. Of course not, because it's Belly's point of view. And then the point you made about them on the beach and how Conrad was just saying, I thought you knew from the moment we kissed on the beach, like I thought you knew. And Belly just gave him that like this look like, how could I have possibly known? And I think it comes down to us as viewers when we're watching the show, we see him. We see the way that he looks at her. We see like the tone, the body language, like all of those things that make it so obvious. Like how could you not see? But then it also comes down to him driving 5.5 hours to come see her, him tutoring her in trig, him doing like all these things that show that he cares. But I think also just where she's at in her life, she probably just needed like words of affirmation. Like she needed to be like told that he cared, and she didn't feel like he was really giving her that. But I loved Conrad's the conversation that Conrad had at the party store. I loved getting to have that point of view from his side, because I know we haven't gotten that yet. So I'm definitely waiting on more of that, because I feel like it's definitely going to open more doors of his brain and what he was feeling during certain scenes. I am very excited to get all of that.
Come with me as we read into absolutely everything, and by that I mean every tiny microscopic detail, moment, movement, body language, dialogue that you can think of featuring episode 1. Let's talk about intentional actions, Conrad versus Jeremiah. Act 1, we begin with the montage. We can clearly see Conrad carrying Belly by her upper body, because he is indeed carrying the majority of the weight, while we see Jeremiah barely lifting a leg. Jeremiah deeply enjoys dragging Belly along with him. Connie baby likes to put his arm around Belly as he's teaching her to throw a football, something we know he is exceptionally talented at. The attention, affection, care, and concern he gives to her in this moment, chef's kiss. Notice that when something funny happens during their card game, Belly and Conrad first make eye contact with each other. Observe the symbolism in Jeremiah taking Belly's milk from her to drink himself, while Conrad gives to Belly the muffin that was taken from her. Even Jeremiah engaged in this game of takeaway and wouldn't give it back to her, even though she visibly looked upset. Observe Conrad's arms around Belly and Steven, making them feel like part of the family. And again next summer. And oh, what do you know, Jeremiah trying to make Conrad look stupid as Conrad yet again has his arms around Belly and Steven as one big happy family. And oh, Conrad's arm is now around Belly. Jeremiah's flashing a peace sign. Peace? Question mark? This is promising. No. After he's seen Conrad put his arm around Belly, the bunny ears are now over Belly's head, because I guess he's just in a silly, goofy mood. I think this speaks for itself.
Okay, I was asked to do a video about the hugs from season 2, episode 3, and episode 7. Now, let me give you a little context about hugging and the body language behind that and what it actually is supposed to do. Hugs and physical touch in general help deactivate the part of the brain that responds to pretty much danger, stress, anything like that. Hugs tend to trigger a hormone that's called oxytocin, which is also, fun fact, known as the cuddle chemical in humans, which makes you feel safer and cared for. So for Conrad, hugging Belly, that's his safety. Now, season 2, episode 3, in this scene, we get the hug where he lays his head on Belly's shoulder and he's dealing with a lot. This is right before prom. This is when Susanna's gone really downhill. But Belly doesn't know that yet. He talks about them possibly switching their medication. But what I want to talk about is the meaning behind the type of hug this is. Him laying his head on her shoulder. This is a comfort and closeness hug. This is a deep sense of trust. He's letting her into his personal space, revealing a side of him that he doesn't show to everybody. And this is his way of really communicating that trust and vulnerability with her. So therefore showing how important Belly is to him. Now let's go to season 2, episode 7. Now, in season 2, episode 7, we get the conversation after the fight on the beach from the previous episode, and he's hugging her with both arms, and this is yet another source of comfort for him. Conrad holding Belly tight is an indication of his affection and love for her getting deeper, and he's wanting to keep her close to him because he doesn't want to lose her. Some guys are not good at voicing their feelings, so as the female, in Belly's perspective here, learning to read his body language and his actions would speak a lot louder of what he's doing. But then again, he needs to learn to communicate, and this is both their problems. They both have a hard time communicating with each other, which is only going to get better with age and experience. But we also notice that he's hugging her tighter and tighter. And this is also a huge indication of his insecurities about her and whether or not she truly loves him or still wants to be with him, which we know it's not. He knows that she still loves him. But he wants to know if she still wants to be with him like he wants to be with her. And you can see him squeezing her tighter and tighter, and this is just to keep her from going away. He wants to relish in this moment. He wants to not leave this moment at all because she is his safety. She's his comfort. She's the one person he can truly be himself around without the judgment. Not even judgment, just without having to put up this barrier of having to be the adult all the time. We see just so many times in this series of him being parentified by his parents and him always having to protect the younger kids. She's the one person that he doesn't have to do that with. He protects her because he loves her, but he doesn't have to put on a show in front of her. He doesn't have to be strong because at the end of the day, she will always be there for him.